So we live here. This is our first broadcast, our first show with the Hangman, Brooks, and Bach. Let's talk sports here with three great players, three great people, and we're going to just talk a little bit about our new location. We here at the studio, live broadcast on YouTube right now. The link is in the managed page of Let's Talk Sports with everything DMV Radio. We here with Brooks, and this is how you'll be able to view us. We will have other ways that you can view us as well in the future. Live stream on Facebook straight to our page, YouTube, and also you can still listen through everything DMV Radio, and you can also listen through Blog Talk Radio. So absolutely, those are different avenues on tuning in. Yep.
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
How you been, man?
I've been good, man. It's been a rough road.
Getting this sticky like Popeye chicken.
Yes, sir.
Getting this sticky. Hey,
yes, sir.
Hey, one thing about this crew, they took the rag off the bush.
Oh, my.
The rag is off the bush. Once left the ball, ain't coming back. Three great DMV football players and men. Let's start off with Washington, D.C. We got the great Cornelius Green.
Yes, sir.
Played at Ohio State. The first black ever quarterback at Ohio State. And back in the day, we say he the first colored man on the team. I think that he only lost 2 games, right?
I lost 3 in my total career, but out of 32 regular season games, my record is 30 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie.
Wow,
and
unbelievable.
And he went up there as a freshman and won a spot from a veteran. A guy I played against, Greg Hare. He played with Chambersburg. Been in the community a long time, do a lot of great work, always helping young people, right? And some of the stuff he told me, we can get into it later, some of the stuff he told me, what he went through, there should be a movie about him.
Oh, yeah,
really should.
Yes.
The first black quarterback at Ohio State.
Yeah, that's a future projects in the works that it should come out. And as a young African American going to Ohio State in 1972, I was the first African American quarterback there. And after it got nationally known, I was receiving anywhere from 100 letters a week from the Klan and a lot of hate groups, and it escalated to phone calls my freshman year, and speeded up my sophomore year as I started the first game of the season, and we beat Minnesota 56-7. There's something about winning cures all, and all the calls and letters stopped.
Right, I can imagine.
Yeah, if you win, you're not as black, right?
Yeah, you one of us.
That'll change it.
Yeah.
My brother.
Yeah.
Then we have the great Willie Wood. His father's Willie Wood Jr. Great athlete. Played, we went to California, right? First.
I did, yep.
California.
Yep.
He played arena ball. He coached arena ball. And I think, did you try to record the 50 yards for the longest catch?
It was a 50-yard field.
Yeah.
So my touchdown catch in the playoffs was a record that was a tie for, I guess, a bunch of people had 49 yards. I mean, we were on the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
So it's a tie, so I don't own it, but it'll never be broken.
Right.
Yeah.
It's a great record.
Before we go to pro, I'm going to get this straight. That's Dunbar. That's Wilson. That's Ballou. Now, Willie also played with me with the Bulls, caught a touchdown in Charlotte to win it. A great route runner, great hands. When I saw him, I said, I'm going to cut 30 people, but he won't be one of them. and he's a good dude. He sings, too.
And he's not exaggerating. He actually said that, yeah.
Hey, you're a singer.
I'm more of a hummer, but I get it.
Yeah. Hey, great receiver. Then we have Charles Chisley. Chisley went to Ballou, wide receiver, Washington Redskins, 84 when they won the Super Bowl. Unfortunate thing, he was on injured reserve. But one of the big reasons why the Redskins picked him up because your route running, was it?
Yes, well, when I came back to UDC, I originally went to TCU, Texas Christian. I was going there for a track football scholarship. When I got there, it was only track, so that was that. Came back home, and like so many other young guys go away, you kind of disappointed. Came back home, I found success at home, and it was good. It seemed like I made All-American at UDC. I used to be a defensive back, converted over to wide receiver. Frank Grant was my wide receiver coach, used to be a wide receiver in the NFL, and he route run, that's to death. Yeah. So precision routes, comeback routes, everything that the NFL was doing, we were doing. So when I went to the Skins, all I had to do is convert the numbers to the routes that they were doing. We were doing the same routes. Yeah. So it was easy. So guys were thinking, and I was reacting. So I was ahead of them. Yeah. And I was ahead of a few guys, but that's the important part of playing ball. You don't have to think, you just react. Yeah. And that gave me a little edge. And by me being a defensive back, I could tackle and I had speed because I ran track. And I was one of the leading tackles at UDC on special teams. So that carried over with the Federals. So when I was with the Federals, I was brought in, and they had lost a number of games, like 6 or 8 games in a row. So I came in on a Thursday, we left that Saturday. That Saturday we flew out to Denver. We won the game, and we won like 4 or 5 games in a row. And I was in there. Right. So that's the start of my career. Wow. So
and Chesley, he played with the Bulls also. He was one of the oldest receivers I had. And the reason why I wanted him because he could teach. He's also a teacher. You know, he's a great man. He still works hard, track man, and he was an inspiration to the team. Being on the team,
yeah, he truly was. Yeah.
And let me ask you this: DC public schools. We're not here to bash anybody. We're just talking. If you could change something in DC public schools, and we're not gonna go the whole athletic thing, in football, if you could do anything you want to do, and you had the money, somebody gave you money, what would you change in football in DC public schools? Start with you.
Well, I would start with the major issue in football now is concussions. And, you know, in the high school, lower school level, kids not being taught properly how to tackle. So they going head first, and now I think more emphasis should be on learning how to tackle with your shoulder, especially if you're looking at a junior high or high school level. Even right now, they're going to be looking at concussions on the college level. I mean, I played in a different decade in the 70s where you didn't come out that game if you had a head injury. You know, you was looked at as not being, you was looked at being soft. Yeah. You know, even though, you know, our concussion test was 2 fingers. If you said 2, you was back in there.
I remember that.
Thank God that we progressed to a point now that that's an issue. Whereas, you know, I've had Dave Durison was a good friend of mine in Chicago Bears, who committed suicide, and he pretty much knew. That's why he shot himself in the chest so they could examine his brain. So I'm just glad where we are getting to. Maybe better helmets might be the answer, but that would be my answer.
If you keep you keep leading with your head, and so much, a lot of them lead with their head helmet, and they drop their head. And when you drop your head, that's your neck.
Right.
You know.
You know, but you know, college level too, people don't realize that athletes are not insured. So you know, you get that kid that might have.
Wait a minute. Excuse me.
Yeah,
what did you just say?
Yeah, I mean, you'll tell it doesn't happen frequently, but that kid that say he gets hurt in the game, and that injury lingers for 3 or 4 weeks, and he can't go to class, and then he has to eventually maybe go home because that injury has lasted for 7 or so more weeks. And if you flunk out that quarter, you know, you become ineligible, and then your scholarship is null and void.
Your
and
insurance
now
goes
that
with
parent is now responsible for that kid's ability to pay for his injury now. And that school separates himself, and that's when you see that they're not insured.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you are
Active.
I don't want to say property. That doesn't sound appropriate, but as long as you are property
It is what it is.
of the university, they're going to take care of you. If you have, let's say you're a senior, and you get your knee blown out your last season on campus, and you're not one of the fortunate few to go to the NFL, the minute you leave that campus, you know, whatever injuries or health concerns you have, those are now yours or probably now your parents.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great point.
What would you change? What do you see?
I think one of the biggest changes I've seen over the years is the charter schools that have popped up everywhere, and the talent level pool has gone down. So where you had a much more talented team that practiced against each other and shared and weightlift and ran, or a kid on a football team, he ran track, or he might play baseball, or he wrestled. Now kids are designer, like they just do one sport. And then
Yeah, everybody going to the pros.
right,
That's what the mother tells
and the kids are so used to now being the one sport kid. You don't have kids doing 2 and 3 sports. When we were coming up, I had guys were All-American in 2 and 3 sports.
Yeah.
But I think the biggest difference I see is the charter schools pulling, whereas we would have kids, like we all could be starters on the offense and defense, but we have the special team kids. And then the special team kids were normally your second stringers. So if I went down, that second string guy would step in and he might blow up. Or he would be the next guy to take advantage of the situation of me getting injured. Now, a lot of teams in DC, the schools have 22 ball players, 26.
Yeah.
And when they start their summer practices, they might have 18 kids out there.
Yes.
I live in Southeast, and I was there in Anacostia a couple years ago, and they were out there practicing, and it was like 16 kids out there.
I think too, the level of coaching has diminished.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Gosh.
And because you might have English teachers now out there coaching football who never played football, and that might be contributing to a lot of injuries because of kids not learning proper technique.
You know, let me say this about the coaches. And I ain't bashing coaches, but let me tell you something. If you can pass a background check and get your fingerprints done, and you get a hat, you're a coach.
You're a coach.
Now, how can you teach a child how to catch the ball when you didn't know how to catch it, right? Now, a lot of these coaches don't go to clinics, you know, and they try to run what they see on TV, right? And there's some talent out here, but a lot of the coaches, I ain't gonna say a lot of, but it's a few coaches, that's not their stick. Football's not their stick. But so many people I talk to, like one guy told me on Facebook, he know football real good because he watch it on TV. He know football, so he watch it on TV.
Well, you know, now most kids
And women,
they got
they'll
the
get on there and say they know
computer
everything.
games, and they learn a form of football.
Yeah.
The artificial
Formations.
form of football in terms of that, but you know, we all know you got to do that on the field.
Well, the thing for me, I coached at Wilson for 12, 13 years. Mm-hmm. And, you know, one of the biggest problems we had filling our ranks with coaches was the guys that we were filling these positions with were guys who were available. Can you be at practice at 3:30? Or do you have to, you don't get off of work till 6, you can't coach. If these guys are available, then they became part of the staff. The other problem, that one of the things that I would talk to the city about, if they're listening, is it doesn't take but maybe a 2 or 3 day coaching clinic to have, even if it's just a safety clinic.
Right.
It's impossible to believe that every single coach is going to know everything about football because, you know, this is high school level. There's a lot of amateurism that goes on, which is fine because they're well intended.
Yeah.
But as a public school system, there should be a mandatory, just like you said, you check the background, make sure they're not wanted by the police. They have to mandatorily take a 3-day clinic for safety.
Thank you.
If nothing else, for safety.
You
would hope that it would be also a coaching clinic. This is how you play football.
Youth football too.
Yeah, for every position. If you're a running back coach, you should also be a special teams coach. You specialize in special teams, and you have your priority. If you're a wide receiver coach, a tight end coach, a defensive end coach, secondary coach, so you're talking about your strong safeties and your corners, but you also need to have that special teams. Special teams are so looked over so many times, but that's a great point that each coach to specialize in one thing and still be able to do something else.
Yeah, and at the beginning of each season, we would have to turn in, I don't know if they still do this, but birth certificates and records of each player to make sure that they're not 22 years old playing high school football.
Yeah.
I would say at the beginning of summer practice that you have every coach that's going to be on your roster show your certificate that you went through this clinic. And that's just a small thing.
I think it's really big because you teach it. And you see the difference in when you go outside of D.C. and you look at our kids. It ain't so much that they're much more talented.
Not at all.
A lot more talent. It's the way we operate, right? I'm not going to mention the coach, but he wanted me to come out there for 3 or 4 weeks, and he just got the team together, high school team, and the assistant coach told me, I said, we need to hit that sled. We don't have time to hit no sled. We got to just put our plays in. That's when I knew I had to put an egg in my shoe and beat it, right? Because he's going to tell me that. But DC public schools, I don't think spending money for athletics like they should. And a lot of these boys, look at the grades. Now, when I was coming along, if you had D average, you have all D's, you can play. Now you got to have 2.0.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people say, well, they should scale it back. So keep them out of the street. Then some people said, no, they need to come in. What do you think about that? What do y'all think about that?
Well, I mean, I like the 2-point average. Yeah. I mean, because that's where you have to start in college.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that kid's going to go to the next level, that's even not in sports, but just as a student, you're going to have to be at that 2-point level. In addition to proving yourself academically. So yeah, I like that 2-point versus the 1 point. And where I'm at St. Albans, so that's a definite difference.
Never an issue there, is it?
No, I mean we get the academic kids more than the athletic kids. Yeah. But I think academics levels should be raised higher in the high.
Yeah, okay. and I think as a former student athlete, we don't need you to dumb down the system for us.
Yeah.
Right.
You tell us what the standards are, and as athletes, one of the biggest things about us is we're competitive. So if you're telling me that this is where I need to be or higher, then that's what I need to do. Okay. It really gets to be a scary thing when you start lowering the standards, because there's already a stigma about athletes. Well, they can't read good, and
can he write his name?
Can he write his name? And they take music classes and stuff like that.
Well,
we take music classes because we like music.
They fill out an application in pencil.
You're right, yeah.
And then they say, do not write below this line, and they write down there, okay.
Absolutely. And if anybody listening has ever picked up a professional football playbook,
it is extremely.
Yeah, you keep calling us dumb.
Yeah.
And read through a NFL playbook and see how much you understand.
And one thing you can't keep saying is my bad.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and my fault, coach. You get three choices. I think it's window, middle, or aisle seat.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Okay, I'm gonna throw a monkey with you. You got an athlete, nothing but the truth. Nothing but the truth. I mean, he's a sure enough good athlete. He lives at home. He got a lot of turmoil. So his grades are shaky, right? His grades are shaky because he might go to school, but he don't do his work. And what do you do with a person like that?
Well,
let me ask you a question. tell me some kind of program it could be in, or whatever you think. What do you think about a person like that? I mean, this a big-time athlete. It's like you might have a boy 6'2", 225. He might be nothing but the truth, but he got family problems. He got issues. He go to school. You know how to do his work. He might not be a troublemaker so much.
But most coaches nowadays, well, when I played, a coach was a social worker.
You got that right. I'm glad you got that.
A little bit of everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, nowadays that coach is not that social worker, nor would that. You still got those coaches that will.
Yeah.
But I mean, it becomes very expensive for that coach to maybe be getting involved with family issues and things like that. And if he has one, more than likely he has about 8 or 9 of those kids on his team that have the same similarities. I was up in Muskingum, Michigan, and this whole community is a low-income area, but they state champions every year because they have a lot of community support.
Involvement.
But that's what we don't have, you know. And here in a lot of the chartered and inter-high schools is a lot of parents backing the programs and helping with programs. But you know, now you have a lot of social issues with a lot of kids who bring a lot of baggage to the program. They don't have the correct medication. You know, it's a lot of. I mean, it's really different now.
Yeah, and when I was at Wilson, and our head coach Horace Fleming, what he started to do, and I don't even know if it was done on purpose, but he created almost like a camp atmosphere, and it was almost like a college campus type thing. So after practice, you know, there would be a half dozen kids that would go to the library. They would do their homework. So literally, some of these kids weren't getting home until 8, 9 o'clock at night. And then by that time, they were so tired, you really didn't.
Going in the street.
You had to worry about them, you know, running the streets. And, you know, they're tired from school, the practice, and then the after practice program that he had. And you know, Coach Fleming really had those kids believing in themselves, and showed that this was a kind of a family thing. And I'm not sure because I haven't been back, but I think Coach Martin is kind of doing the same thing. Yeah. And you have to show these kids that somebody cares. Yeah. You know, even if they're not getting it at home.
Now you have your telephone. So, I mean, this communication that kids have towards one another, I think separates a lot too, because one of the few times that phone is away from them is when they practice.
Right.
Right. And then you find that a lot of kids, sometimes as coaches, are the first time any man or woman are really putting pressure on them to succeed.
Right.
A lot of times the kids, the first time they're a part of a real team.
Hold that point. And I'm done.
How many times? Okay.
I thought about something. Hold that point. I'm using that. I thought about something. You know, when I was working up Darby Heights, I was just thinking, because I started working again, and a lot of these young kids, they live with their mother or grandmother. The man's not in the house. And the mother hollers and screams at them, right? Or get on top of the case. When they go and a man does it in the school, you look at the man like, you hollered at me for, you ain't nothing. Because, you know, his mother has him believing he can say or do what he wants. And then you got a lot of mothers don't like the father because of reasons and stuff like that. So you got a lot of boys look up to the mother as a father figure. And if you as a teacher say, come here, son, man, you need to pull your pants up, you need to do this. Oh, F you, man. You don't tell me what to do and so on like that. Because he listens to his mother. And a male is not a part of it.
Right.
I've seen a lot of cases.
But what I discovered on that same point in football, those kids that we would get 10th, 11th grade, and they've had those same issues, you know, the minute that they figure out that Coach Wood or Coach Fleming or Coach Martin loves and cares about them, all of a sudden it's not that hard to take the hard coaching that you would give them. Yeah. And, you know, I think back to, 10, 12 years ago, my wife and I were in a Blockbuster. That's how long ago that was, Blockbuster. You remember those? Yeah. Okay. And a kid that I coached in high school, biggest knucklehead in high school that you'd ever meet. And he recognized me, and you coach so many people, you don't recognize them all the time. And he walked up, he said, "Coach Wood, I just wanted to thank you."
Yeah.
And I said, what are you talking about? He said, "I just graduated law school, and it was because of the leadership that you gave me and the love that you showed me on the football field."
You didn't even think about
and
it.
I didn't do anything extra. I mean, I didn't drive him home after practice.
You forgot
or
what you
anything.
said. You don't remember what you
No,
said.
I did. It was probably cookie cutter. It was probably the same thing I said to 100 other kids.
Right, yeah.
But he got something from it.
Right.
And he came from that environment. Now he's a lawyer. And so as coaches, we always have to understand that the product that we're getting, that we're receiving, is not the one that we're sending out into society.
Right.
So it becomes a little bit bigger than football. Did I get too deep? That wasn't too deep.
was-
huh?
I mean,
That's perfect. I was at Spin
Hold on,
Garden.
cut you off. What you were saying about those kids?
Oh, well, when you put a little pressure on them. Like when I was at Spin Garden, we would take the kids down Hampton University every year, outdoor track, because it's a college, high school track meet. The kids had to dress up. They had to, so we stayed overnight. They shared rooms. They had to be young men. We had the men watching the young ladies when we were out of town, because you have to treat them like they're your sisters. So the young ladies couldn't walk off by themselves. The guys had to be aware of them. And they became like a unit, whereas before it was, oh, he's from Maryland Avenue, or he's from 4th Street, or he's from something Plaza, or he's from Trinidad.
A room full of individuals.
Now, no, we're a team.
Yeah.
And you see it changed. Now the whole grind thing going against each other, now they're cheering each other in practice.
Right.
Now, in practice, you see the kid that's the top kid, now is cheering for the kid that's the loser, or that's not as far along athletically as everyone else. Now that superstar kid on your team is walking and talking, hugging the other kid. Now the kid has a confidence, and that's just like with the coach.
Hey.
Now it means so much to that kid. He tries harder, and now you have a team mentality, a us mentality.
It's a family.
It's a
thing.
family.
Have you ever noticed this? You take a little kid, put a suit on him, don't he act different?
All the time.
Sits different.
Hey, he acts so different when you put a suit on him. He can be the worst kid in the school. You see him sometimes when they graduate and stuff like that. If you look at him, I'm talking about 10, 12 years old, you put a suit on him, it's unbelievable.
Right. And I think, the other mental part of the whole thing is that we've all been a part of teams, many teams, and there's no greater feeling than being part of a team. And some of us, or all of us, have been maybe the outstanding one on that team. But just imagine what it would have taken for someone to snatch you off of that team, or take you away from what you consider to be another family.
Right.
And not being a part of that, whether you're the top guy or the low guy, it's like, I want to be here. And once you can get a kid to understand that, man, they'll never want to walk away from that.
Yeah, I was telling some kids at Lincoln Heights, and I took them to the Carter Burn. They'd never been out of Lincoln Heights, Clay Terrace with them. They said, look at them great big apartment buildings. I said, them houses. Stop lying, Coach Brooks. Them apartment buildings. I said, those are houses. These are houses up and down here. They'd never been out. And I talked to a couple guys, there's a white boy this, a white boy that. I said, you know what? A lot of y'all have never left D.C. You never played against a white boy. You never coached with one. You never been around one. And I told him, I played with some white boys, and we friends to the day. Friends. I mean, we real close friends, right? And they look at it like, oh, them white boys on, white boys on. I said, man, you got to get out of that environment. You stay in D.C. all your life. And one more thing. When I had the Youth Gang Task Force, we used to go to different elementary schools. Every elementary school in the district, we did a presentation. And the first question I asked, how many people think there's more black people in America than white? 99% of them raise their hand, and some teachers. Because they don't see, all they see is what they see. Right?
Right. And that's what football and sports
Opens a lot of doors.
Opens eyes, doors. It's a gateway to a better life. If you never played past your college career, you still gain so much. I mean,
Stuff you'll never forget.
right, the world that I've been opened up to, I mean, we go back to what my father went through and endured, because, he was from the deep inner city.
Yeah.
And, he basically hitchhiked to California to go play football because he said, he saw, this is a story he tells. He saw the Rose Bowl. What they play that January 2nd or something?
January 1st.
January 1st. He saw it on TV, and they were all wearing short sleeve shirts. He said, "Oh yeah, that's why I'm going to play." So he goes out there and plays football at USC, and it completely changed his life because he opened himself up to a whole new world that he never knew existed.
Gotta take a chance.
And you got to take a chance. You have to be an individual sometimes.
Absolutely.
To take that chance. Don't be scared.
My friend told me, say, every time I turn around, you get around on the phone talking to people about football, about what happened back in the day, football. I said, you just don't understand.
There's nothing
That's
else
a
in
bond
life.
right there. You don't understand.
There is nothing else in life.
You know what she say? Don't talk about that stuff. Talk about, move on to the future. Without a past, you ain't got a future.
Well, football bonds you for life, because even a lot of things you learn in football, and I work for Xerox. I mean, when you got to go out in sales, being able to get knocked down and get back up is very important. Whereas learning failure to a degree and success all at the same time.
Right.
Preparation.
It's a great tool.
Prepares
for
you
the
for
next
life.
day.
Right.
Because you don't win every single game. And if you lose, do you quit? I mean, go home?
Know your customer, like knowing your team, knowing who you're going to see. So all that falls into place.
Let me ask you a question, Boys Club, of youth football. I see more and more coaches on Facebook arguing with each other about their teams. And we talking about little boys. And they act like it's the NFL. I mean, they get ugly with each other, coaches, back and forth. And you coach a little league, and you talking to each other just like you got Roger Staubach, or you got this person, you got that person. And I've seen some arguments. We're going to kick y'all by making threats. Then to me, you putting a lot of pressure on your children. When I coach them number 6, just learn basic fundamentals. Because guess what? I don't believe in telling kids, you're going to make the pros, you're going to do this, you're going to do that, you're going to do this. And one thing I always told my kids, I will accept a physical mistake. I can't accept a mental mistake, right? But the way it is now, they be actually arguing, threatening each other. I bet you some money. They ain't got sense enough to say, don't say I bet you some money on Facebook.
Right. See, you 5 generations removed from this new coaching now. Because these coaches now, Brooks, get a 10-year-old that's a superstar, man. They ride that superstar. Get a hook up with Nike for that kid, before that, and then next thing you know, that kid won't even go to a college unless it has Nike. So I mean, this thing has really changed when these AAU coaches get attached to a LeBron James of the world.
They'll tell you don't play
all these
high
young
school ball.
superstars. Well, I'm just saying they're attached to them at 10 and 11 years old, and they control these kids all the way through high school and college. My son was a big-time baller coming out in the AAU circuit, and he played with Kevin Durant and Tywan Lawson's of the world coming up in that AAU, and I just saw how they were pampered, at 15, 16 years old, people foreseeing their future in college and pro. So, I mean, it's night and day.
Well, if all I can tell any potential coaches or any coaches that are coaching right now that are listening to me, if you're hitching your wagon to one of your players for a come up, you've already lost. I mean, you're a loser. My whole thing when I first started coaching is I wanted to move up the ranks. I started coaching 75-pound Wheaton Boys Club, and my thing was to move up the ranks to eventually get to the pro level as a coach. And it wasn't I didn't start coaching at Wheaton Boys Club because I saw a 12-year-old that I thought could change my future. He wasn't my 401k. So if coaches, if you're listening, if that's what you're in it for, you're a bum. I mean, you're probably not good at what you do anyway. But, you know, and if you're building these super teams, you know,
most of the coaches that I know that have winning programs, and some that don't have mediocre
Like
programs,
Johnson.
are the coaches that care, that take the kids home.
Yeah.
Like you say, after a long day, you practice. Then the kids, you got to do the weight training.
Like
Then
that.
sometimes they do the after-school program. Then you practice. So a lot of times we are coaches. We're taking kids home. You get home late to your girlfriends, your wives, your own kids.
Right.
So, you know, we really want them to pay off because we put a lot of time into that. And like you say, coaches don't really get paid a lot. We do it because we love it and we like the game.
Yeah.
But you see some talent. And I remember one time at Spangon, a kid was in the stand cursing, "Oh, I can beat you, this and that." I said, "Bring your stuff out tomorrow and I'll see you can run these kids." Kid came out, ran. I coached him into getting the physical.
Right.
Next thing you know, he one of the best kids that we had at Spangon, man.
Yeah.
So
Sometimes-
sometimes you just have to
yeah.
trick them to get them in there.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, the kid will be the first kid in his family to go to college, got a scholarship.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the greatest feelings in the world, like you said, to be in a mall and a kid running up to you crying, a young lady or a guy hugging you, "Coach, I got my master's, I'm this." And I saw a kid over in Southwest and he said, "Coach, that's my gym. I'll put you on my membership. You can work out with me," because he was working out with me and he remember all that. You know, that's the greatest feeling in the world. It's like,
and it's changed. You know, of course, along with the world, it's changed. You know, for my father, who was a coach, and then I went into coaching after that. You know, our payoff was to first of all to win, because that's why we're all in this business, to win, and then to see kids get better each year, and then if they're kids, they go on to some kind of success in life. And if you get into coaching at any level, because you're trying to get paid or you're trying to get the nicest car or something, you're a fool. And then you realize once you get to the pro level, that you show up at work at 6 o'clock in the morning and you get off work 9:30, 10 o'clock at night. Oh, I ain't know that.
That's what you really
Nobody
want.
told me that. Yeah.
But look at
and we're
the
talking
great-
about 7 days a week.
Look at the great coaches, Saban and Erickson, and a lot of the guys come from college programs that win. They go to the pros and they fail miserably. And then they say, you hear the guys say, "Well, I thought all the guys that went to the pros could play." No, you got to coach.
Right.
You still have to coach because he an All-American, rushed for 1,800 yards. No, he had 10 more guys on the field with him.
Right.
Now you got to teach him the game. A lot of guys are All-Americans and don't know what they're doing. They don't understand their talent level. They don't understand what the next guy beside him does to make him successful. So once they learn that, then we all, as coaches, a team, and young men, like you said, it's a part of being on a team. IBM team, Redskin team, NFL team, SBA team, whatever team you're on. You could be selling hot dogs, but you're a part of a team. The guy didn't bring the buns. We don't have no buns for the hot dogs. We need everybody to do their part.
Right. And the first thing I would tell a young guy or a young lady that wants to get into coaching is, I would say the first thing is learn your craft. You don't have to have played this sport in order to coach it. We all know that that's not true. But you got to know your craft. The second thing I would tell them is,
looking at TV.
you don't watch TV and learn that way. No.
That PlayStation.
No, volunteer some places. Volunteer.
TV has killed more blacks than playing.
And then the second thing I would tell them, and may be more important than the first, is do you have good character? Because if you're a bad character person, how are you going to teach good character? How are you going to teach character?
Because he go back home and he might have that same environment, it's fighting the devil. Yeah.
Because part of, what we were giving them was character lessons, life lessons. And if you're a bad person, you're not helping. You're just not helping. So those are the things that, look in the mirror and say, do I know enough about the sport to teach someone else? And am I a good enough character? Would I want someone like me to be around my kid? And if the answer is no, fix it or do something else.
Get out the way.
Yeah, because if you're not the type of person that you would want around your own kid, then I don't want you coaching my kid.
Nope.
you're a bad character person.
And you know,
do something else.
I said this a lot. When people get into coaching. I play defensive back. I play wide receiver. You should be able to coach every position on the football field because it might lead you. You might have been a running back. You might have a job open somewhere that might lead you to some money as a defensive back coach.
Absolutely.
I told a guy one time. He said, "My man Batiste, God rest him." I said, "Batiste, I want you to work with the linebacker." I don't know about no linebacker. I play running back. That's the old way of thinking, right?
Right.
And I say it all the time, you should be able to teach, or you should be able to teach in all positions. I play defensive back, but I always like to run offense. But people look at it like, why don't you coach defense? You gotta be a student of the game. And I'm gonna tell you something else. Most people that play football can't coach. You gotta be a student of the game. Just because you're real good means absolutely nothing. You gotta be a student of the game. You gotta understand, you gotta deal with personalities, you gotta make things, some things you gotta make click and whatever.
Right.
My favorite thing is, my favorite thing is, I treat all my players the same, different.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you on the third string. Don't you show off and try to do what that guy's doing, because you're gonna get cut.
Rules are different, right?
Yeah, but that's being honest.
Right. But I in the Arena League, I was special teams coordinator in Cleveland. So that meant I coached kickers.
Yeah.
I had to go out to camps and evaluate kickers. I had to make the final decision on who made the team. And Brooks, you've known me a long time. How many times you seen me kick?
I ain't never seen you.
Not never.
But that don't mean you can't teach it.
I can't. I actually can kick, but I don't.
Right.
But that's my coach, Mike Daly, from Montgomery College. He was my head coach in the Arena League, and he used to sit me down and teach me all the different protections on how to teach pass blocking from a lineman standpoint. So I could coach linemen, I could coach kickers. I was a long snapper in high school. Didn't know that, did you?
Know that?
Wow. Yes.
You was All-American.
I went away to college, and they tell you, say, if you can do anything special, let us know. That's how you make the traveling team.
Right.
Yeah.
So I said, Coach, I was 155 pounds. I said, Coach, I'm a long snapper. I ended up beating out senior.
The top guy.
So I was a long snapper on punts and field goals at 155 pounds. So the more that you can do, the more that you know, the more valuable you are to different people's staffs. And you're more hireable because you can teach different things. If you're just a running backs coach because you only played running back,
let me say this. I'm going to say this about Chesley. Now,
Right.
I'm telling you something. I'm telling you, I've never seen nothing like it in my life. You look at a lot of football, you've seen people get hit on special teams and laid out, right? Some tremendous hit. I look at a lot of football. I've never seen a man get hit as hard as he hit that boy from Baltimore, and they thought he was dead. I mean, they put the cover over him.
Didn't I make that catch and he cracked?
No, it was a special team play.
Oh, it was a kickoff.
He ran that and he hit the guy.
Well, that was his thing.
But when he hit the guy, hey, I seen hits. That's that Dick Buckles pressed on antifreeze, plug up the whole stuff. He hit him, and he laid down there. I said, that man dead. I believe that man dead. I believe that man dead.
But you know what?
Let me say this. I believe the man dead. And you know what? When he came off the field, Chesley about the same size when he came off the field, when they talk about good hit, hey, Chesley, ain't it? Hey, I play with the Redskins. You gotta run the kickoffs. You gotta be able to play.
Right, because if you're not one of the players who's getting a football card at the NFL level, guys like us have to do punt return, kick coverage.
Yeah.
You have to do everything or you do nothing.
But they are looking at injuries in terms of special teams because you can just tell how they done move the ball up.
Yeah.
And even on the extra point, they done move the ball back. So most of these kickoff returns won't be returned.
Right.
So they're going to start eliminating that kickoff guy.
So it just come out to the 20.
To return because now the balls are being kicked out the end zone.
Yeah. I would have been out of business. I would have been.
Me too.
They would have phased, the things that I do, they're phasing them out.
The only problem with me with that is I like to see people get hurt.
Well, hence the name Hangman.
Exactly.
Being taken out now.
Right.
He with the famous
Killing head, the body is that.
Clothesline, the elbow, the elbow.
You're killing the product. See, Brooks is killing the product.
Yeah.
Can't tackle high, you know. Hey, but the thing, when we talk about that tackling, that was he didn't leave with the head. He hit him with shoulder pads. I'm telling you, the force that he hit him with was unbelievable.
It's not hard to teach. It's not
But
hard to teach, but you have to teach
you want to
it.
hit too.
Yeah, well, you have to want to hit somebody, but there's proper ways of teaching it, and there has to be people out there that know how to teach it. You know, because anybody's teaching you to hit with the crown of your helmet, they're in the wrong business.
And the pros are doing it, and the kids see the pros doing it. Everybody look, I got a brain, I got a head, I got a helmet, and I'm gonna run into somebody.
Right.
And they're ready to go.
And this equipment will protect me.
Yeah, and that's why training is so important too. So what do y'all think about the training camp? You know what I mean? Like, what does that mean to you, the training camp in the NFL?
Well, if it's on the NFL level, the training camp is trying to make that team. So it's more cutthroat during the training season because if it's 100 guys, you're only going to keep 50. So I mean, it's you competing against the team to make the team.
Right.
And after you make the team, it's totally different. Then that family thing start coming.
Right, because now you feel
But
like I can help him.
Cutthroat. And preseason, you should know your craft and know your plays because you know the coach might tell you to jump in there. That wide receiver might tell you to run the 5 route. But that route was for the 7 route.
Right. Yeah.
So that guy is sabotaging you or
running
business.
Right.
So so that's why it's so important for you to know your craft and know your own plays because if you got to depend on someone else during that preseason time, you can't look for that family and that brotherhood thing.
That's a good point.
Yeah, not when your livelihood's on the line.
Yeah.
You know, and that, believe it or not, it actually happens more on losing teams. You know, winning teams creates a culture of winning.
Yeah.
And everybody is kind of pulling the same direction.
Yeah.
You know, when you end up on a mediocre or a horrible team, that's when you see a lot of that fraying going on, a lot of cutthroat stuff, because guys now understand that at the end of the season, you know, you're going to have to politic for your job because they're going to try to clean house, try to replace people, try to get better. And if you're not part of the fix, you're part of the problem. So it gets real, it gets dirty.
Well, I noticed even when I was playing with Willie on Brooks' team, and we would have the receivers and the guys weren't polished, and I used to always take them and show them how to lean the body and do this, and we would practice. You know, you take your shoulder pads off, your helmet off, and go over the footwork, the body. You should be leaning. You want to, once you get in front of the guy, step in front of him. Now you got him on your hip. Now he's not in control of the route anymore because he's behind you.
Right.
So, but those are things, like Willie said, when you are a guy already established or already have those tools, you don't mind sharing them.
Right.
Yeah, because you got confidence in yourself. You ain't scared.
Plus, we were part of a winning machine. The Bulls were, we were a winning machine. So it didn't benefit us to have, the backup guys not be able to come in the game and be efficient. Yeah. If they weren't efficient, if they weren't ready, then it affected our outcome. Yeah. So.
Well, the science part of the game is what a lot of young guys can't figure out or grasp. When you get to that next level, when they say 17 yards, that's what they mean.
That means 17 yards.
They don't mean 15. They don't mean 18. Because when you run 15, something happens. So you got to be precise in terms of route running, in terms of
because the quarterback's throwing at 17.
Throwing at a certain area, 7-yard outs, 7-yard slants. Can't be 5, can't be 8. So that would get a lot of guys cut.
Right.
Because when that coach dissecting, when they dissecting that film, and they seeing the great route runners are right there at that 7, and they looking at you at 8. They're looking at you at that 17-yard route, and you're at 19.
And you got to do it right every time, too.
And as a coach, it used to make me so angry. I clean that up for radio. But I used to get so, and we were talking about it earlier about when players come off the field and they tell you, oh, coach, I saw something. You know, why you cut your route short? Oh, I saw something. So, you know what, son? This I see something too. I see you packing up your locker.
You know, let me say this. I thought about something. I'm going to ask y'all, do y'all agree with this? I'm just using for example. Now, remember when New England played the Falcons, right? They were down 28-3.
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody around me was panicking. I say he could score 28 points in the second half, so it wasn't no big thing. But you know what I figured out? You got the Atlanta Falcons in there at halftime, right? Everybody on your team has got to be as one and think the same way.
Right.
Everybody in New England, that's my opinion. Everybody in the New England locker room believed they were going to win. Now, with Atlanta, you got some people believe they're going to win. Some people say, we got to watch it. You know, we got to watch it because they might be coming back. Some people say, I don't know, I'm still not sure. Some people say, yeah, we can win. It's everybody is got thinking different. Is everybody thinking the same way? We're going to go out and win.
Right. Well, you got
in that game, that particular game you're talking about.
Yeah.
That's Atlanta's offensive coordinator just should be shot, because when you're up 28-3, you run the ball, you run the clock, you just don't throw first, second, and third down, and it's all incomplete. And he gave New England the opportunity to come back.
Right.
Now Shanahan, who's just been hired out in San Francisco, he has to take the blame for that.
Yeah.
Because he tried to run the second half just like he did his first half.
he extended the game.
Because and you got the best
almost
running
like-
back in the league, the kid from Atlanta right now just signed a big contract.
Right.
You had him in the backfield, you don't run him.
But Cornelius, I believe what you're saying is right, because it's like he came out and say, we don't want to rock the boat. We're just going to try to ease in and ease and win the ball game. Now, a lot of people would have went after the dag in you.
Man, he turned to Eric Coryell second half.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times that quarterback passed. I mean, he just passed too much.
I also
And
think
the clock stops when it's an incomplete pass.
Yeah.
Right.
And the clock runs when you run.
That's right.
I also think with
Look at the
the
seconds
offensive
that
coordinator,
that were involved at the end of the game.
Yeah.
right?
So that's my
That's
point.
true.
with that.
And I thought with the offensive coordinator, he was a rookie. Think about it. So he's never been in that position. He didn't know. He didn't keep the
Who
foot.
you talking about?
No,
Shanahan.
he's been around.
No, but I'm
that's
saying
offensive
for a
coordinator.
Super Bowl.
Super
For a Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
Well, I
That's a
mean,
different type of pressure.
Yeah, that's
Right.
a different type of pressure. You know,
But
you can say you won games and you had good quarterbacks and you've been on winning teams that made playoffs. It's different when you're in a championship game.
I just think it's common sense. I don't care if it's playoff, if it's a regular season game. You up 28-3. You just don't turn into a passing team where you take chance of any incomplete pass and the clock stops. Whereas if you have your running game, the clock keeps running. So you're trying to get the game over.
Right.
You're up by 3 touchdowns. Get the game over. Why are you passing?
Yeah,
so
you
much?
got to bleed the clock, and then, you know, when you're, if you don't want to stop throwing the ball, doesn't mean you have to go down the field. I mean, you could do little short and stuff in the flat and stuff, screens, stuff like that.
He had big receivers.
Yeah, I mean, what you're trying to do, and Cornelius is exactly right. What you're trying to do now is you're trying to move the ball and also let the clock move.
You turn that Joe Montana, that short passing game.
Yeah,
He's
you
gonna
just
pass. It's
that's
something
right.
quick to get 5 yards or 2 or 3
That
yards.
was their
Missed
running
tackle.
and
game.
it's a completion.
And you
Right.
get or a missed tackle,
That
then
was
you
their
get
running
another
game.
6 yards.
But what you cannot do
If you're gonna
is
throw
3 and out.
to the big tall wide receivers, which they have, and it's downfield, and it's incomplete, clock stop,
And
they
if,
just play right.
and if you were to break it out time wise, if you go 3 and out on 3 straight run plays, what's the difference in the time that's gone off the clock? Is if you go 3 and out and 3 straight pass plays.
Right.
You know, there's a big gap there.
Big time.
Really?
Yeah.
It's
But you
almost
know-
like 2.5 minutes.
And probably, yeah,
notice
per
that-
possession.
They came out and they went out, and when New England scored their first touchdown, did you look at the faces of the people on the Atlanta sideline?
Well, they might have got a little scared, a little tight.
Look, here's my hand to God. I'm willing to bet you a lot of them people said, "Oh Come on, man, don't let these people come back on
Hey,
us.
what? Hey,
That's
what?
what they're thinking.
Yeah.
There's some people saying, oh, so what? Let's go out there and let's get them.
Yeah.
But when they score 1 or 2 touchdowns on you, you got a lot of people, man. I've been in a situation where you got a lot of, you get 1 or 2 touchdowns, everybody looking around. Jesus
But,
Christ.
you know, in that particular game, you had Atlanta. I mean, they had a high-scoring team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they were like New England as
juggernaut.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think they were rocked until that fourth quarter when they got tight.
Right.
That fourth quarter, I started seeing what you're saying. In that fourth quarter, it was
Yeah, I
like,
did too.
whoa, you know.
Yeah, they started getting nervous and
Yeah.
playing tight.
Right.
And what was successful for them in the first half, even though you're not going to change your offensive scheme for the second half, but in the first half they're playing loose, and they're letting the ball go, and they're playing with a little abandon. Second half, when things start getting tight, you know, all of a sudden you get real nervous, and you know.
I don't want to make the mistake.
Right.
I don't want to be the
defensive
guy.
line made some
You
adjustments
look
too.
at
Yeah.
the amount of time that the defense was on the field in the second half.
Yeah,
Brady
that was
scoring
extremely
like
long.
12 and 13
Team
play
play drives.
Right.
And then Atlanta passed the ball 3 times.
And go
put
right
the
back out.
defense right back on that field. And
Yeah.
Brady goes 12 more plays again. I mean, it was.
That's like,
Because you weren't going to stop
like
them.
putting a man in an electric chair.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do. I mean,
He does what they wore that defense out.
Yeah. And that's why I think as a football team, everybody got to be the same way mentally. Because we played against Baltimore, we were down 26-0 in the first quarter. And people started going home.
But you know what?
And remind me again, how did that game end?
We won.
won.
Oh yeah. That's right.
But you know what
I just had to go on the record
At
with that.
halftime, we all got in our groups and we said we made a mistake. The quarterback didn't do this. The defense missed this. It was all things that we did wrong.
Right.
We said we can do this. We went back out. Next thing you know, first drive, touchdown. Defense stopped. Second drive, touchdown. We was like, it's our game.
But-
That's how we thought.
But one thing I said when we were down 20 on the sideline, I told Sam Taylor, I know you're hard-headed, but you better not blow this. Do not throw no bombs at all. Do not throw any bombs. And the boy Tony Robinson, especially Elizabeth City, came and said, I got him beat, the boy from Morgan State. He said, I got him beat. I got him beat. I said, we're not throwing any bombs. Traps, counters, throwing out of bounds. Don't throw any bombs. Because the first thing they thought, you know, DC mentality, the first thing DC mentality is, let's start throwing bombs. And Baltimore was playing back. In the fourth quarter, I told Tony, I said, go after him. Give him a stop and go, sell him and turn him around. Okay. He said, I thought you forgot about me. I ain't forget about you, but I've seen teams destroy themselves. You down 24-0, 26-0, and you start throwing the ball.
Right. Trying to come back in a few plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we were so athletic that, you know, once we settled down, once we stopped making mistakes.
Yeah. It was just.
Yeah, it's just a matter of getting it into the stars' hands and all the athletes, let them do their thing. And
Yeah, because Big T told me we need to put Tony, we need to bench Sam.
Well, it was just like when we won the championship in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And we called the play, and I said we didn't set him up. I said, put Willie in there, do the corner,
He was playing you way to the inside, you bust, you went in and just.
and he got up on his head, and he came and he gave him that, and it was. But
Yeah,
you
because
know how some people
if
wanted
I
to
remember
be
correct, he
them?
never really backpedaled, right? He let me
Right.
got on
Yeah,
his toes.
because he was so far back.
Right.
I
Yeah.
looked at that, I said, Jesus Christ, and General Jackson.
Right.
I said, if I come.
And I don't know if you
They
remember
get the whole
this,
sideline.
but as the ball was in the air and I was passing the DB, did you hear me yell, dummy? You hear me? Okay, I just made that up.
They say as you get older, you embellish your.
Well, the good thing about being an old football player is I was a hell of a better football player now in my mind
Right.
than I actually was.
Right.
Yeah, I was greatest thing ever since white bread, since Cornelius Green.
Bad. You was bad.
No, I'm old now, so I can make it. I can be as good as I want to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Cornelius, who?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this. Youth football and the parents. And when I coached up number 6, I never had a parent even step down there. They just kept their mouth closed. Nobody said anything about my son gonna be a pro, nobody this and that. And what kills me, every time I ask the youth football coaches how their grades, everybody A student.
Right.
I think I'm going for that. Everybody's an A student. What do you think about the parents, the Uncle John who come to the game once a week, the mother, the grandmother, all of a sudden they're football experts, and they cause
I'm not going to touch
that.
that one, gentlemen. All I know is it gets crazy out there.
I see them fight.
I'm far removed from it because my kids are older.
Yeah.
But it's too much parental involvement. And then you got guys out there who volunteering as coaching, and it's awful right now.
It's
How
you know,
would you
and
clean that up?
I started seeing it while I was at Wilson coaching. I actually had a parent tell me halfway through the season his son should be starting because he was MVP at Art Monk camp. So that means he should be a starter. And I was like, do you tell this man that his son is terrible? I mean, because
I can't believe that.
if you're listening, your son was terrible. I mean, I don't know what else. This thing is not for everybody.
They can't. Everybody think they're football players.
Right.
But you got parents on the sideline. They're in the middle. The kids on the sideline. The uncle tell them, guy bring him out the game. Curse the little boy out. Why'd you do it this way? And the coach telling him one way to do it, and he telling him another way to do it. And a child 12 years old, 11 years old, I think at the time of his life he should have some fun and play. I don't think he should be pressured into you got to win this game. You're gonna get that pressure as you move up.
Well, I mean, you have a lot of parents now living their dreams through their child.
Yeah.
So that's a problem where they're reinforcing their athletic prowess or how they
Or lack thereof.
into that kid now.
Do y'all have a solution to the parent thing?
Yeah.
You should think some rules be in place.
I mean, I think that honestly, the kids and the parents being out there is really good because I know some places and some schools where the parents don't even show up for the kids. It's just the kids out there. So with them being out there, I think that's a really great thing. I think more of them should come out there. But yeah, they gotta stay off the field.
They don't need to get involved.
Yeah. Just the whole thing is, if your son or daughter is participating in something. If you're overly concerned about the wins and the losing, you've missed the boat. Because for kids 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, it's about participation.
Yeah.
It's about having fun. It has nothing whatsoever to do with your lost dreams of stardom. That you thought that you were good and probably weren't that good.
Let's take it up 2 tiers. Let's go to high school. Your kid's in high school, and you one of the fathers, jerks, that's sitting in the stands, calling you out, calling the head coach out. Your son is tight end, we got the plays, throw him a pass, score, dropped it, ran the wrong route. So at the end of the game, everyone's looking at you, not the coach, but the guy doing all the cursing, because everyone keeps turning back.
They do.
Your son dropped 2 passes that were touchdowns.
Yeah.
So how do we blame that on the coach when you're the father of the son that dropped 2 passes? I had that happen at a couple schools I coached at. That's hard for the kid. The kid carries that around. The father doesn't during the week. Your father cursing people out and you can't catch. You the starter, your father talking about the coach, and the coach is loved.
Right.
That's hard, So now, during the week, and you know how kids can be. Now, this kid is getting verbally abused. That's hard to carry. And that's hard to, even for a man to carry in the pros or in college. We remember when we all made mistakes and cost our team a touchdown or a play or maybe even a game.
Yeah.
We carried that for a long time. You carried that with you.
It's a tough solution because a lot of parents, some parents got a lot of political pull and all kinds of different situations, even where I'm at.
Especially
it's still a problem, because coaches still try to be respectful, and there's a line that they won't cross, but there's not lines that parents
Won't cross.
I mean, they really go overboard.
Yeah, they do.
And put a lot of these coaches.
Yeah, what I would do if it was my program, I would have, not only would I have videographers videoing or taping the game,
Taping the stands.
I'd have one video camera on the stands, and if anything
That's
crazy
proof.
happened,
When you got to do something,
you
that's
call the
proof.
parents in, said, "This is what you look and sound
Yeah.
like. This is what you look and sound like. This is you MFing. This is you cheering one person, and that's your child, and he's on a team of 11 people at a time. This is what you sound like." And it looks a lot different when you're sitting in a room watching yourself on videotape, acting a fool, than during the game, and you think that you're changing something because you know more than the coach. And the other thing I would say to any parents that are listening, if you're not going to get out there and volunteer your time, because trust me, I coached high school for 12 years, and what they paid me is volunteer with the money that I was making. If you're not willing to come out there every single day, you get off work 6 days a week until the Turkey Bowl, then I don't want to hear it. So when you want to come, if you have ideas, you come out there on the 5th of August, and you come every single day
and see what's going on
away from your family for nothing, and do it all the way until October, I'm glad to listen to you.
Well, I'm gonna say something. What I saw at Eastern was horrible, and I don't care. When Wilson lost the championship game, I heard parents from Wilson curse Martin out, curse all the coaches out, even brought up their mother. Hope your mother died and all this. I heard this.
Wow.
They just.
That's not the Wilson that I went to. I have to say, I don't remember that Wilson.
One of my boys that coached there, they kind of in tears. I mean, they lost a close game and they got cursed out. I'm talking about some stuff like you need to be dead and all that kind of stuff. They were really going at it. I couldn't believe it. I could believe it, but I didn't think they would go that far.
Well, I mean, you're always going to have that 30% of the parents are going to be like that. I mean, that's the average fan.
Yeah, and you can't legislate it.
Yeah, especially it even gets worse when the games are closer. When you lose. So I mean, you're going to always have that ignorant.
But they start talking about death and keep your mother and all.
But the good news is, as a former coach, the opposite happens when you win.
Yeah, I mean that's
so you win that championship game, all of a sudden people want you to run for mayor. So it's you kind of get used to it.
So now that guy is yelling your name out for the mayor.
Right.
We got a ballot. We need everybody to sign this ballot.
You're right.
That's right, because we won. I mean, in Arena League, you know how close the boards are to the field, right? So there was a game that we were winning, and this fan, we were on the road, so this fan was giving me the business the whole game. You're MF this, and you suck, and all the things that you can't say on radio. And, finally I turned around to the guy, and I said, "Hey, my man, you've been giving it to me all game. What do you do for a living?" He said, "Oh, well, I'm an accountant." I said, "Just so you know, I could quit my job today, go to school, study, and I could become an accountant. You could never do what I do."
Absolutely.
Ever. You could never do this. So you can't quit your job,
not as easy as you
go
think.
to college, learn how to coach football, and then get a pro coaching job. So, I wouldn't suggest that coaches actually interact with the fans. That was just me that particular day. I was feeling friendly. But you're not going to be able to legislate how fans act or how parents act. All you can do is try to appeal to the parents and say, "Hey, just remember that you're here for the kids, and it's for their enjoyment. And despite what they tell you, the kids don't enjoy you in the stands cussing and hollering and putting them on spotlight. It's not fair to the kid." I played high school football. My mom, who was my biggest fan, she never came to any of my games except for one per year, and that's when we played Dunbar. That's because she went to Dunbar, and she wore all her Dunbar stuff. It didn't break my heart. I wasn't mad. I didn't cry. It was just like, that's my mom. My father would come to every game, mainly because he wanted to tell me what I did wrong after the game. But he didn't come there to yell and scream and embarrass anybody or anything.
But
Yeah, just have a good time.
You got that huge group of kids that don't have parental parents at the game, and that's
a lot of
that's a
Which unfortunately is equally as bad, isn't
because
it?
even for
Grandmother's
me, I
raising a
grew
lot
up. My father never saw me play a game, so I played for a different reason where a lot of kids play for their parents and this and that. I had a different motivation because my father never came to see me play a game. Whereas then I get to Ohio State and I meet Archie Griffin, two-time Heisman Trophy winner. His father has 6 other brothers. And a unique family. All 7 of his other kids got football scholarships, and his father looked up to me and came to my games and kind of subbed in as a dad because he never saw my dad was around. But you changed the culture for me,
Right.
and I came to all my son's games.
Yeah.
But, a lot of our parents back in those days didn't feel it was important to come to a game.
Yeah. I mean,
The first game my father came to, he left at halftime because he thought the game was over. He had no idea about football.
Wow.
But he did say this: "You keep on playing when you get in your 60s, you ain't gonna be able to walk." He told me that.
He was almost right. Huh?
He is right.
Yeah. Well, it catches up to you
Yeah.
eventually.
Okay, let me talk about injuries. Now, let me say this for me. When I was 45, 50 years old, man, I felt real good, 55, 56, 57. When I got into my 60s, that's when I started waking up and saying, where did this come from? Oh, you need a hip replacement. Where did this come from? Oh, you need a knee replacement. Close to 70, moving up, right? A lot of people, 50 years old, don't feel it. But what I found out, as you get older, and your bones and stuff start to deteriorate, some of them injuries gonna come out. Let me ask you 3 about what serious injuries y'all ever had.
I'm rare.
Bless.
I've
You
just
running all around
had
ducking
a
people.
thumb, but I've had several concussions that's been unattested to.
They caught up with you? I ain't never seen nobody catch up with you.
Yeah, but I've had them. I mean, you can't avoid that.
Yeah.
Playing quarterback and throughout your career. But I've been fortunate. But we're very fortunate to live in this 2017 era because if you had that hip in the 70s, you were done because they didn't have hip replacements.
Yeah. Right.
So I mean, we're living in a robotic era now,
absolutely.
where now I'm going to my 45th year reunion, Oklahoma, September the 9th, and you think you had everybody, that's all they talking about. They got knee replacements, hip replacements. So we're very fortunate to live in this day and time.
Absolutely.
The worst I ever had was I broke my collarbone in a game, first quarter. Played the rest of the game because I had no idea what was wrong. I just thought my shoulder was hurt. And I caught 2 touchdowns after the injury, just in case anybody was listening. And then I had a partially torn meniscus that I played the rest of the season, didn't know what it was. So I never really had any serious injuries. And now that I'm in my mid-30s,
What are you?
now that I'm in my mid-30s.
Concussion.
Protocol.
No,
You think you would run that by me?
I didn't think y'all were listening. No,
Come on, man.
I just turned 49, and I get stiff. I got a back injury from college that gets tight and spasms, but nothing serious. Fortunately, knock on wood, nothing like
Y'all lucky.
what my dad goes through. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with me, I guess the quarterbacks, I used to be a defensive back, so at one point I was leading with my head, so I knocked myself out a couple times. Then once I truly learned how to tackle, it was shoulders.
Right.
So I do have every now and then, how did I get here kind of syndrome. Where was I going? all of that. I broke my collarbone a couple times. I broke it with the skins. I broke it with the Federals. The crazy thing with the Federals, a guy in practice, we were doing the helmets, getting ready to fly off the next day to a game, and he wants to dive and knock the ball down in practice, and he dove and he hit me in my shoulder with the face mask and broke my collarbone.
Wow.
So a lot of times, right? So a lot of times we get injured
outside.
Well, in practice, a lot of injuries start in practice, and then they come to the surface during the game.
Would you like to say that guy's name on the radio?
No.
Okay.
But I had two brothers that wanted to get him. And it wasn't going to be pretty.
Yeah.
But I see individuals now, and they say, oh, how do you stay that size? How do you stay like that? It's hard work, but it starts God blessing you to do the right things, eating, working out. So I do those things, and I have a lot of young guys that I like to train and work with. So I'm always doing little camps. I see the guys going through the cone drills. I come out there and say, because I don't do this to coaches. You can't walk up on a lot of coaches and say, "Can I show you something?" Or you have to say, "Can I show you another way?" Yeah. Because a lot of coaches get offended. Yeah. Because
remember, they think they know everything. Yeah.
Right.
So you have to. I've done camps where Brooks would be going through the oral part of it, and I'll do the demonstration. Right. And then when the kids are doing it, I'll say, "No, lean a little bit like this, do this." Mm-hmm. So we work together. So, but when you come there and you try to take over, oh, some guys just can't. And you could have been an All-American, or you could have just been a really good guy at your position. But a lot of people are offended by you leading and trying. I feel as though they're intimidated by what you really know. Yeah. But as far as my body, I really feel good. I'm really blessed. I thank the Lord all the time. The things I can do, I can run. I'm still training, So it's really good for me. I really feel good about that.
I remember one time a guy told me, one of the players told me, he said, "Coach, you know what I think? I think if we do it this way, I got another way. Think about this." He kept talking. I said, "What you there for?" I said, "You want to be the coach?" But I say this. In practice, that's one thing. In games, if you come and say, "Hey man, we need to do so and so and so," I don't say, "Oh, you just run the play and just shut up and listen, say I'm going crazy." Because guess what? Y'all make adjustments. He done threw touchdown. He done caught touchdown. I ain't never called him. Right. But I'm telling them, don't do this and don't do that and don't do this, don't do that. They grown men, and a lot of them. That's why I wanted talented ball players that play places, right? But it's about letting your players play.
Yeah.
I get on Sam, we usually throw it out the back. And one thing about quarterbacks and coach, they got a love-hate relationship. In most cases.
Right.
They don't like, the quarterback think he's smarter than the coach, and the coach think he's smarter than the quarterback.
I think the worst thing.
I'm not saying this all the time.
The worst thing in this world, as when I became a coach, I discovered is letting football players call their own plays. That was the worst thing that I have ever come across. Now, if they're making adjustments or changing stuff at the line, a little bit different. Right. But, I hear fans all the time now say, the quarterback knows what's going on. He should be calling his own plays. Worst thing I could ever think of. Because, they're not tied to the success or failure. The coach is. And that's where you get these coach killers. They start calling stuff and say, "Oh, man, the coach is calling bad plays." Nobody knows that it's not the coach making the calls. So if I'm in charge of pass or fail, then I'm going to be in charge of it. I'll let my quarterback have some leeway, make some calls, change some stuff. But the problem is when you're in the middle of a game, in the heat of the game, you're emotional. And the quarterback's out there playing, he's not going to be making good decisions all the time. So, you got to rely on the coach and let the coaches handle that. Yeah, we get a timeout, we'll talk about, hey, what are you seeing? But I always thought it was a bad idea to let players call the game.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh, it's a bad idea. Horrible idea.
Yeah.
Well,
my opinion.
Yeah, I'm quarterback, then I think I was a hell of a student of the game. So, if you study the game, which is really rare, I thought I knew as much. I know I knew more than my high school coach. And Luther Van, as smart as he was, but I learned
all
his
them
system.
championships y'all won.
I learned his system, so I studied his system,
Right.
and I escalated his own system. It wasn't my system.
Yeah, I know what you do. You enhanced it.
But when I got to like Ohio State, it's like no matter how smart I was, do what they say. So I mean, I never could get outside of how smart I thought I was. But at Ohio State, I mean, we got 8 smart coaches who have put in the system. Now, preparation is huge in terms of you learning defenses that you're going to face that week. So we was able to make some changes at the line, some audibles, but in terms of me, with my own knowledge, I had to stay within the system.
Right.
And in the pros as well when I went to Dallas.
Best way to do it.
You know what I've told some people? I look at football by myself, but here's what happened. They say, okay, the offensive line ain't blocking. Offensive line and the quarterback get killed. People don't realize they call a play in, but the quarterback a lot of times call the protection scheme.
Right.
And if he's wrong, it looks like the people ain't blocking.
Yeah.
But
Well, that
for
happens
us, for
more
us, our
nowadays.
center called out blocking scheme.
Yeah.
Right.
So that made it easier. That was pressure off the quarterback, where your lineman calls the blocking scheme, and your quarterback calls blitzes and stuff like that. So you got 2 guys calling schemes simultaneously.
Unbalanced, safety up.
So that takes all that off the
Yes.
quarterback because we've had about 12 different blocking scheme calls, which I knew all 12, but I'm glad I didn't have to make those calls. But when I heard those names that were called out, I knew exactly
Way to
what
slip
that
to.
blocking scheme was.
Right. And then, like when a quarterback in the huddle, you remember back when teams used to huddle?
Yeah.
They used to huddle, and the quarterback has the protection that's in the play call.
Yeah.
But normally that was to let the lineman, if it's a pass play, let the lineman know that it's either a 5, 7, or 3-step drop.
Correct.
Once they got up to the line and they start shifting and everything, the lineman, the center, is usually making calls to, which are we going to slide, we're going to fan, what we're going to do.
Yeah.
But, the quarterback would let them know, all right, I'm doing 5-step drop or 7-step drop, and it's built into the play call.
Right. Yeah, what he's saying is if a blitz is coming, you're not doing 5 and 9 steps. You got to do 3 steps.
Right.
So that
You
way
can do 5 if you want to.
Well, you're going to be at a defensive advantage.
Right.
But I'm just saying a quarterback got to know those kind of things, and some don't. Even in the pros, I mean, that blitz is coming, but
A lot
It's
of
a
the
lot of
defense
stuff they got to
has-
process.
has schemed it
That's
so they
much
don't
stuff gotta
realize it's
process.
coming.
Some
And it's a
people
lot
just
of
don't-
nonverbal communications going on. The running back is watching to see if it's going to be a hesitant blitz, a delayed blitz, and if it's like you said, if it's a 5 and you go to 3, he got to watch the DN coming up, the safety walking up.
Yeah.
So
But the
it's a lot.
communication there is terminology and words mean so much on play calling out there. I mean, like you said, there's no huddles. So a lot of stuff is coming from the sidelines now. You got 3 coaches on the sideline, all giving 3 different signals. So there's a lot of confusion going on.
Yeah.
Unless you're New England and you tape the other team's plays
Well,
and
but guess what?
and then win a lot of Super Bowls.
But guess what? Let me tell you this about that. Before they say New England was cheating, I saw this from the coaches in the NFL. With the
Hide
play
the
sheet
plays.
calling. This was before Tom Brady.
Yeah.
It didn't stop there. Hey, when they start 3 wides and getting cute and all that, everybody start doing this.
Yeah,
And,
right.
Well, the offense tried to take the defense's best players off the field.
Yeah.
And the way you do that is you take the running backs out of the game.
Yeah.
And when you do that, that means the linebackers have to go out, and then you got to bring in another weak defensive guy. Because if you got a 5th defensive back, he's not the top 4, then that's that weak link you
Right.
have.
That's how you isolate.
That's it.
And you got some great corners in the NFL. Can't play the slot.
Nope.
They're not used to it. Let me tell you, when I play corner, I'm thinking about one thing. Okay, this is the sideline. I said, all my action is come from here. So I ain't worried about this. This is the sideline, right? But when you line up in a slot, everything gets real big.
Open up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everything gets real big.
And then they normally going to put someone with speed against someone that don't have speed.
Right.
Yeah,
Because now it's triple motions. You got the guys in the slot now. There's a tight end, and next thing you know, when they motion, it's a little 5'9" guy there now.
You're a 240-pound safety.
Right.
Yeah, well, you ever notice a lot of the nickel guys that come in for that third or that slot receiver? When that star corner leaves for more money and they move in the corner, he can't play.
Right.
Right.
He never reaches everybody. Go, what's going on with him? He played good when they brought him in the nickel. He a nickel package guy. He could never be a starter. He would always be that third corner, that open set offense corner that comes in and plays over the top because they take that safety out.
Because it's a completely different world
Right.
Sure
from
is.
covering that slot guy and the outside guy. It's a completely
Yeah,
different
and
world.
slot guys normally super quick,
Yeah.
great hands, and doing all these zigzags. And the other guys are running stream routes, clear out routes, Drano routes, and
You know
so
the
this guy can
difference
do
is
everything.
in the Brady's of the world that can hit those little slot routes. I mean, every team has it, but only a few teams can do it.
Right.
Yeah, to
Only a few
perfection.
quarterbacks can do it.
Yeah,
Say
perfection.
that.
Yeah, well, you know, you got, just like we talking about Tom Brady, you know, I found out their whole passing scheme is number of option routes.
Yeah.
Everything option routes.
Well,
That-
you know what?
Well-
Cornelius will understand this. Mostly like the run and shoot, the stuff that they're doing now with the little quick slot guys and the
Yeah.
option routes. It's Canadian football. It's Canadian Mouse
Got
Davis
that
and
wide
stuff.
field.
Well, I
Well,
mean,
I
it's
mean,
only
the
three
scheme,
downs. It's
yeah.
only 3 downs up there. So, I mean,
Well, the scheme.
you try to
got-
get 10 yards in 2 plays. It's a scheme. Every play is the object to get 5 yards. So in Canadian ball, you're punting on 3rd down if you don't get that first
And the
down.
art of catching and running, breaking the tackle. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it becomes like an extended running game. You know, when Brady has those two guys running crossing routes or even fake crossing routes or doing option routes from the inside, you know, that has roots from Canada. And what Mouse Davis and those guys were doing back in the 70s and just before my dad started coaching up there, you know, so I see a lot of stuff and I'm like, wow, that looks familiar. You know, let me see that stuff before.
Let me tell you, I hear people talking, I say they crazy. Now, I coach offense. Now, beginning of the season, first few games, everybody hollering Josh Norman, let him go with the best receiver, let him go with the best receiver. Hear the media, yeah, put him on him and he shut down, put him on here and shut down. Let me tell you something. If I got Josh Norman on one of these guys, whichever's the best, like he might be the best, Josh Norman gonna check it. He gonna check him man to man. That ain't nothing, I can still beat him. I can keep him in motion. You can't play bumper run. I can put him in the slot and run some picks. It's a whole lot of ways to get a man open. I don't know why they think you just, like Rock'em Sock'em Robot, you just line him up in front of that guy and he stay with him everywhere he go. Hey, it's a whole lot of ways to be man-to-man coverage.
Right.
But now
It
the
is.
game is so specialized that
It is.
you have to have that kind of player. And Deion Sanders started that.
Right,
Before
we
Deion
shut down one
Sanders
side of the
became
field.
the shutdown corner. He created the shutdown corner.
Yeah.
I never heard that term until Dion.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Because,
he
you know, to
started
me,
it.
you know who the first shutdown corner was? Well, in my age group was Lester Hayes, Mike Haynes.
Yeah.
And they were two of them on the
That
same
was in
team.
my
Yeah.
era with them.
Yeah.
And they created that sticky stuff on it that they had out.
Yeah, the stick 'em.
outline that.
Wait a minute, don't talk about that. I had a whole body full of it.
But you know, Lester Hayes and them, they learned from Willie Brown.
Yeah.
Some great defensive backs prior to
Yeah.
them joining the Raiders.
Yeah.
But if somebody playing you man-to-man, do you think you can find ways to get open?
Always.
They always, yeah.
Well, you got picks out there. They picking guys.
That's what I'm
and,
saying.
But
We
see,
used to run a lot of
it's
picks,
not
too.
only defense watching us,
Yeah.
I'm watching them.
Yeah.
You know the defensive back that can't take the quick dig step or the one that goes for the double move. We all know that by the time you play him.
Right.
And then if you have Jets, he's backing up, and he's hoping he can get that first bump on you, because he know if he doesn't, he's done.
And no matter how good you were as a DB, I faced some guys that were, really, really good. I knew that I was going to get you eventually.
Yeah.
Or I was going to get you sometimes, and you're going to win some. But I was going to get you eventually.
Right.
And I just, you just hope for the DB's sake that it's not, the last play of the game and I score a touchdown on you, But you always know that you're going to eventually get them, and you're going to find something that's a weakness.
You know what? I'm glad you said that. This leads to my point. When I put the playbook together with the Bulls, Bob Johnson said, "Let me see the playbook." And I showed him some plays. He said, "I could beat that. Listen to this. I put a man here. I put a man here. I put a man here. I put a man there." I said, "You got everybody lined up, and you said you can stop this, right? Somebody gonna make a mistake over there, and he gonna pay for it. You can line up the defense, and that looks good. But when the action start, things change.
Right. Matchups. Right? Yeah.
Defensive backs, you start adding a wrinkle or doing this or doing that. One thing about most football games, they lost not one. They study all week about the players, and it comes down to a mental mistake."
Well, Woody Hayes asked me to describe football in 3 words, in which most folk can't answer that question. I couldn't answer it until now I know the answer. And I don't think you guys probably can answer it by presenting it to you. But it's action is the first word. When the ball is snapped, that's action.
Yeah.
And once that ball is snapped, the second word is reaction, because the defense reacts to the ball being snapped. Now, the third word is reaction, because the offense then reacts to the defense reacting.
Absolutely.
So now, who's ever smart can do that.
It's a chess game.
That's who wins.
Right.
You're right. Wow. Chess game.
Yeah.
I like that.
Hey, now, Woody Hayes, was he as bad as people say he is?
Well, Woody Hayes was a professor at Ohio State. He was a military historian.
Yeah.
So his favorite person was General Patton.
Yep.
So we were raised or trained like military, and our response was yes sir, no sir. But yeah, Coach Hayes was tough, but he put 22 hours a day into studying the game. Fall asleep at night watching film. So we was one of the most prepared teams when we went
Came
on the
to
field.
battle.
Right.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
And I would say, not to put words in any Ohio State players' mouths about how he coached, but it's generational.
Yeah.
If you watch
Different
video with kids of this generation of Woody Hayes, then it's oh my, I can't believe it, but that's how we came up.
Right.
Yeah.
That's exactly how we came up. I'm sitting there watching with my dad, and my dad can't figure out what's all the fuss about.
What
I
about
don't
the water
understand.
break? What about everybody lined up for the water break?
Yeah.
Another side of Woody too is teaching all his players to pay forward. When I was a freshman, we had to go to sick hospitals and
you told me that.
kids.
Yeah.
That was our way of paying forward, giving back that time for being so blessed for playing the game and being at Ohio State. So, even to this day, that's why I'm at a school. He's still kind of paying forward, want to give back.
Yeah.
Remember you said that.
Yeah.
And most of the people I'm guessing that are critical of Woody Hayes and his ways didn't play for him.
Right.
Right? Yeah. That's usually how it works.
So they normally don't know the whole story.
Right.
Right.
Well, even
It's
when
what
we were
they
at
see on
Ohio
the
State, when they
sideline.
had, this is early 70s, it was gas shortages. If we didn't ride 4 deep in the car, he's going to let you have it. He wanted to talk about conserving energy and, the whole 9 yards. A lot about Coach Hayes. He also knew President Nixon very well. He always rooted for Ohio State. We played Michigan each year.
Yeah. But that's the way the public kind of reacts. You know, they basically, if you've never met Coach Hayes or played for him, I haven't, but, you know, I'm Coach's son, you would think everything that you know about Coach Hayes is three things. He punched 2 kids and he won championships. You know, and that's it. And so now as the public, we're passing judgment as opposed to asking somebody who lived and breathed with them. You know, and so that's I think we all kind of dealt with that in our professional and college career.
Like I talked to Wilson and Kyle Arrington. They say Belichick ain't the same. They say you can go in there and talk to him and all that, but everybody's scared of it, but it ain't the same. He said he hates the media because they always twist stuff up. That's why he give them very little.
Yeah.
You know?
So the public doesn't know what they think they know. Yeah. Which is fine. I mean, they are customers, but at the same time, you know, an article or a blurb on TV or a blog does not encapsulate the guy's full life.
You're the worst guy in the world.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
I find that when I look back at my coaches, be it track, football, each one of them poured something into me that I took with me to the pros, I took with me with my kids, because 2 of my coaches were fathers, and I seen them with their kids, and they were fathers to the kids that they were coaching. So it helped me to learn how to give back and how to take my time. Some coaches don't know how to take their time with a kid. All kids, that's why when you go to the big programs, they have 20 coaches on the staff. They have coaches for the freshman guys to walk around on campus with them so they'll be comfortable, so they don't flunk out. Then you have the older crew of student coaches that maybe went to the pros, got injured, came back, finished his degree, and now he's working there, and he works with the star running back, that's the All-American, and he's this the head coach, and I'm the other coach that kind of works and talks with the kids more than the other coach because he's in more meetings. But like you said, when you get to that level, now you're seeing how men work and how people put things together and how life kind of forms together, and you start carrying that with you when you start doing things.
Right.
Like you said, he was doing 22 hours. I used to have my own company. I remember working 15, 18-hour shifts. But if you're a person that never seen other men do that and know that's a key to success, you're not going to be willing to do that.
Right.
You know, I tell you something, I'm getting to that. Coaches down there, and now and yesteryear. You take Willie Stewart, was crazy, right? You take Tillerson, was out of his mind. You take Sam Taylor, out of his mind. I played with Bob Head. He wasn't as bad as the rest of them, but when I spit in the boy's face from Gonzaga, he grabbed me by my face mask and almost broke my neck. And the point I'm getting to is, I say it all the time, I'm glad I played when I played because the era is so much different. It was no nonsense. You ain't going to get no water. If you was with the team and you do this, can I get some water? Everybody looking at you like you were crazy. But some of these players right now, they couldn't play for Willie Stewart or Tillerson. Well, and I'm glad I had those. I'm just glad that I
played there when there's no water too, and that was crazy.
Right. That was one thing that needed to change.
Right. I'm just saying. We say the same thing. We play the same era, but I'm just saying that's crazy. Because even in lower league, if we ran past the water fountain, we had to run more laps.
But you know what? I'm just telling you, it is what it was.
I'm just glad we're in this time now that more is paid to the kid out there on that field.
Right.
Than maybe how a coach feels.
Right.
And how he feels you should be trained.
Employing you to train your body up.
Yeah.
It's more human now.
In the 60s and 70s.
We didn't realize it was being misused like that.
The 60s and 70s, anybody very well. But guess what? I never saw a lot of people fall out either.
We never died. We never passed out. I don't understand it.
See, that's
We should
There
have.
must be something
Yeah,
good about
right.
it.
Yeah.
Even though I complain about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
They did
I
make
understand
us
what you're saying.
gladiators. They
Huh?
made us gladiators because a lot of guys was going
caught a
both
lot of
ways.
cramps.
Yeah.
Like you say, Willie,
Got a
you
lot of
ran
cramps.
kickoffs,
No,
punts,
I never-
you
I
ran
never
put you in the
cramped up,
backfield, you
but
ran
you
running
saw a lot of
plays,
that
you
Right.
wide
Yeah.
receivers, and then
Yeah.
when you played team that had the third receiver, you played the second defensive back.
That's right.
And here's another thing.
You're gonna have to wrap this one.
Okay, and one more thing. I couldn't believe that people cursed the coach out. He never cursed the coach. I was scared of him. I'm not saying, I just couldn't do it.
well,
Somebody told
that
me
was-
curse Bob in and out. I'd be saying, that ain't legal.
Oh man, oh man.
I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, man. Well, I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight. We had some great guests on the show today.
Thank you.
We're going to be back again with Hangman Brooks and Bach. Let's talk sports. And thanks to my guests, that were here today.
Three icons, three legends. Cornelius Green, Willie
Pleasure
Wood,
being here.
and my man Charles
Thank you
Jenkins.
for
Yeah,
having
thank you
me.
for having me come out. This was great. And I got to meet Cornelius Green. I got to meet him. Yeah, sorry about that.
And I got to meet all you guys.
Ouch.
Great show. Thanks so much.
Thanks. See you next week.
Always a pleasure, Willie.
Let me go to
Man.
Well,
bed.
let me tell you a story. I grew up at 10:30. My pleasure, my fault.
Thanks.
Third Street.
Thanks, Willie.
It had to be your father's brother, Albert Woods. I don't know if you have an Uncle Albert or a cousin. They lived at 1010. Well, growing up, Albert Woods he was the number house. Alfred.
Alfred.
Right.
That was my father's uncle.
Okay. Yeah. he was like a mentor of mine.
Okay.
Too, but he says, Woods, you want to be like Willie Woods. Willie Woods played this alley. And I was coming up. I had my white t-shirt, and I was always 24.
Right.
But I followed your father in the path. I told you that.
That is cool.
I told you that. So I grew up